Good afternoon, Trump's family. Welcome back to my channel. Have a good day and God bless you. Let's get into the news. And CNN employees are once again bracing for another purge in their company, as the company continues to dump dead talent that is no longer helping the company make money. And of course, these TDs people who have been just so integrated with the Trump derangement syndrome that they must go. They're toxic. They're not good for the network, and they're doing their best to clean this up. Whether or not CNN will ever be reputable such a broadcast network again, I don't know. I don't trust any mainstream media, to be honest with you. So for me to see them to be a fair and balanced, I don't think so. However, it's good to see a lot of these haters be taken off air. It's been a long time coming for a lot of them. So let's go and dive into what we have here. Over here on CNN, it says report CNN employees nervous as more cuts are coming at the network. That's right. So what we have here, CNN has already made a number of big staffing changes over the last 6 months. Media reporter Brian Stelter was let go, then John Howard left, and network Don Lemon was taken off primetime and moving to a morning show, and apparently there are more changes and cuts coming. See CNBC reports. This scene, CNN CEO Chris Licht started conducting a business review of the news network when he agreed to take the job in April. The evaluation wrapped up last week, according to people familiar with the matter, and CNN employees are about to find out. Let's just conclusions. Licht faces many challenges at CNN. Like all cable news networks, the business is shrinking. CNN makes money off advertisers and pay TV subscriber fees, but as millions of Americans canceled traditional pay TV each year in favor of streaming services, CNN almost certainly can't raise subscription rates at a fast enough clip to make up for declined viewership. Licht's review is part of a larger effort spearheaded by Zar Zalavova, who has told the division heads throughout the company to rethink their units and find ways to cut costs. More than 1,000 people will be laid off by Warner Bros. Discovery people before the end of the year said to People, we are excuse me who asked not to be named because of the discussions are private. An ongoing Warner Bros. Discovery has about 40,000 employees. Licht doesn't have a specific order to cut certain amount of jobs or save a specific percentage of spending. But he's planning to cut parts of Seeing, and it has become bloated over time, said to People. A CNN spokesperson declined to comment. So yeah, recent review. CNN has employees worried about widespread job cuts, and coming following the formation of parent company CNN. Jim Acosta is probably working on his resume right now. So yeah. Mr. Acosta is still employed by CNN, he has not been fired yet. But lots of speculation is that he will be being fired here soon, along with his next round of cuts. So again, CNN, trimming a lot of the fat. We'll see how CNN shapes up to look like, as we are going to be looking at them at the upcoming presidential election for 2024, and see how their anchors and everybody else in that network is going to behave. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out and plays out. I'm very interested in knowing what you guys think about it. And this is some big news. Something astonishing happened over the weekend. I'm not talking about the bizarre antics surrounding Paul Pelosi. I'm talking about a revolution in the information wars, which has effectively ended the media's monopoly over news. It's already forcing the legacy media to change their story about what happened that bizarre night, and we're going to find out why those changes are just the beginning. You're not going to want to miss this. According to police reports, a mentally disturbed drug-addicted nudist named David Depop a broken-up Paul Pelosi, San Francisco home early Friday morning. The pulpit confronted Pelosi demanding to see Nancy. At some point, Paul Pelosi excused himself from the pulpit by saying he needed to use the bathroom. Just so happens that that's where he was charging his phone, and so approximately 2:30 a.m. Paul Pelosi called 911 from his cell phone. The dispatcher for the San Francisco Police Department relayed the following message. The reporting party, or RP, stated that there's a male in the home and that he's going to wait for his wife. RP stated that he doesn't know who the male is, but he advised that his name is David and that he is a friend. RP. The reporting party sounded somewhat confused. Police arrived 2 minutes later. They not, and according to reports, an undisclosed person opened the door. At that point, the police observed the two men each with one hand on a single hammer and ordered both of them to drop it. DePapi immediately pulled it from Pelosi, started hitting him with it. The cops tackled DePapi and took him into custody. So that's the official timeline. To say that it was odd would be an understatement. It's beyond bizarre and peculiar. But Then the legacy media narrative formation began to shape according to the media. Papa was obsessed with, yes, you guessed it, conspiracy theories peddled by the ultra-MAGA far-right insurrection assassination. Like Donald Trump. Forget the fact is. The New York Post reported that he was a drug-intoxicated hippie. You lived in a compound replete with BLM sign. No. According to the mainstream media, Depop A is now the poster child for QAnon. Now, while police has stated that they do not know what the motive for the attack is, that didn't stop the legacy media from pushing the conspiracy theorist angle, which was designed, of course, to send a signal to the sad, pathetic, soulless shills like Hillary Clinton to take to Twitter and spew out their predictable malicious slander, which Clinton dutifully did, tweeting out, quote, "The Republican Barney in its mouthpieces now regularly spread hate and deranged conspiracy theories. It's shocking but not surprising that violence is the result. As citizens, we must hold them accountable for their words and the actions that follow." Now, let's all remember this is the same Hillary Clinton who, according to her own campaign manager's testimony, the John Durham investigation, knew she was spreading her own concocted fabrications when she tweeted out nonsense like this. Computer scientists have apparently uncovered a covert server linking the Trump organization to Russian-based bank. She knew she was tweeting out a bunch of lies, bought and paid for by her campaign, but she didn't care. And not only does the mainstream media know this about her, they continue to pretend that she's the paragon of virtue. But regardless, Clinton couldn't help herself. She had to remind everyone that she's still alive because, frankly, nobody cares. And so she tweets this nonsense out now. Back in the day, that would have been enough, that would have been it. The mainstream media pushes a narrative. The narrative is designed specifically to trigger virtue signaling outrage from the leftist likes of Hillary and Rob Reiner and all these sad, angry keyboard activists, all with the hope that it harms the overall reputation the political right. However, we are, as of last week, we're in a new era now. The days of the legacy media and its leftist surrogates having a monopoly over information is over. Waiting to see on how the new ultra-MAGA Twitter responded. Shortly after Clinton's tweet, Elon Musk, the new owner of Twitter himself, responded with his own tweet saying, quote, "There is a tiny possibility there might be more to this story than meets the eye." And he linked to a story from the Santa Monica Observer of what they called the real truth of what happened, where they argued that Paul Pelosi was actually drunk and got into a fight with a male prostitute who, according to the article, they're identifying as David Depop. And the story went on to say that Pelosi has long been widely rumored to be gay, and that this situation was basically a confirmation that rumor. So obviously, Musk absolutely freaked out. The legacy media he triggered every single outlet out there. NBC loved the headline, "Elon Musk's new owner of Twitter tweets unfounded anti-LGBTQ conspiracy theory about Paul Pelosi attack." CNN went with the headline, "Elon Musk's Twitter's new owner tweets conspiracy theory about attack on Paul Pelosi." Axios published Elon Musk tweet misinformation about Paul Pelosi and on, and you get the gist. Now again, what should be noted here is that these media outlets accusing Musk of tweeting out unfounded conspiracy theories are the exact same media outlets that actually peddled Hillary Clinton's bought and paid for fabrications about Trump colluding with Russia to win the 2016 election for 3.5 years. The New York Times, Washington Post, LA Times, Newsweek, CNN, most especially MSNBC, pushed the Russian conspiracy hoax. They even forced a full-blown special counsel investigation that wastes tens of millions of dollars of taxpayer money. This is why Hillary Clinton can lie all she wants, and the media has no problem with it, because they participate in it. And so the same legacy media has the goal to accuse Moscow of disseminating fabrications, but in the midst of their collective temper tantrums, the legacy media has, in my view, missed the real story here. The real story is how Musk and Twitter have effectively pushed back against the media's monolithic narrative of what happened with Paul Pelosi. Glenn Greenwald nicely summarizes the exact kind of questions are being asked all over the Twitterverse. How did someone break into the home of one of the richest and most powerful families in the nation without setting off an alarm? How exactly did Paul Pelosi call 911 in the middle of this? Who is this unknown person who opened the door for the police? Where are the security and police videos in all of this? And what's so fascinating is already the police have since twice changed their report. They now deny the Pelosi knew Depop, and even more fascinatingly, they now deny that there was a third person in the home who opened the door for police. Now we can be sure that this narrative is going to continue to get, shall we say, adjusted as the questions continue to pour in from the Twitterverse. But as such, I think what we saw this weekend is a perfect example of exactly what we were talking about last week in terms of one of the major ramifications of Musk's takeover of Twitter. Up until fairly recently, the legacy media has operated with what was more or less a monopoly over information dissemination dispersal. For decades, virtually any and all accessible news came from we called big media, the New York Times, Washington Post, LA Times, Reuters, AP, the big news networks like NBC, ABC, CBS, and of course came along to the cable outlets like CNN, and then Fox eventually joined the ranks, MSNBC. But then most recently, over the last 10 years or so, we've seen the rise of social media. And a recent Pew study found that over 70% of Americans get their news from social media platforms. Now the key here is that all of these news sources that together monopolized information mediation, basically mediated a singular monolithic, liberal narrative. And there's several reasons for that. But one sense of the fact that all the mediating outlets are embedded in cosmopolitan centers like New York and DC and LA and Chicago and Silicon Valley. And so their narrative that shapes the news is itself a cosmopolitan, liberal narrative. So this is why even the liberal commentator term media critic, Andrew Sullivan, argues that the mainstream media pushes narrative, not news. That's key to understanding what's been going on for the last few decades. The mainstream media pushes narrative. They don't push news. Whatever events they focus on, whatever, quote, facts they put forward, always must comport with a far-left cosmopolitan narrative. What's happened with Elon Musk taking over Twitter is he just stole away from this monopoly. What is perhaps the single most important global messaging system on the planet? Twitter is the de facto global public square. It's the epicenter of narrative formation and information dissemination. And we just saw a glimpse of the future of the weekend. The legacy media no longer has monopolized control of the narratives and information that constitute news. Their days of gatekeeping over our access to knowledge has come to an end, and that may have been the most successful conspiracy of them all. That's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. If you're up for it, I'm gonna get back to work. Thanks for watching,